Looking at the history, Bitcoin's halving was one of the biggest catalysts for the bull market. This time, besides halving, we are expecting to see spot Bitcoin ETF approval as well. Will the history repeat this time? What you can expect in terms of price in 2024 and 2025? Today, I'm going to analyze where and when the next potential market top will be and the areas in which you should start taking profits. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, my name is Željko and welcome to CryptoGrid. Bitcoin halving is happening every 4 years and the next one is expected to occur in April 2024. If you analyze the data around it, previously this was always a bullish catalyst for Bitcoin price due to decreased supply and an increase in mining difficulty. This time we have a spot Bitcoin ETF approval which is expected to occur at the start of 2024 in the worst case scenario as well. So, firstly, I want to show you some interesting Bitcoin price analyses and predictions for 2024 and 2025, and then I will give you my take on it as well. The first model which I wanted to address today is stock to flow model, which was created by Plan B, and this was one of the oldest model created that would predict the Bitcoin's future price. Besides that, if you look into the chart, you can see that it's pretty accurate. And if we compare the current price to the model price, we can see that currently we are undervalued, which means that we are in a good area to accumulate more BTC. One of the flaws of this model, in my opinion, is we don't account diminishing returns of each Bitcoin's halving, because with each Bitcoin halving, you are mining less and less BTC and less BTC is released into the circulation. So currently I think we are around 85-90% of the total supply. And if you look into this model, this is 100k, this is 1 million. Half of that, I think the middle in the logarithmic numbers is around 300k or something like that. So this price estimations is around 400k or 450, something in that area, which is pretty bullish in my opinion. Still, this is one of the first models and that worked pretty well so far. The second one, which I think is interesting, is prediction by Pantera Capital, and they actually took into the consideration the reduction in new Bitcoin supply, and the price which they predicted for the end of the next bull run is close to $148,000. This number is much lower in comparison to stock to flow model, but I think this is some area which we can actually aim to get to in the next bull market. The third and last one before we go to my charts is the Benjamin's Cowen prediction, and here we can see the fair value of total market cap with the lower band and upper band, which pretty much represents the area in which we stick when it comes to the total market cap. So if we look into the fair value in comparison to current total market cap, it's around 50%, which means if the Bitcoin dominance remains the same in the markets, that the price would pretty much double to get to the fair value. If we look into the 2024-2025, by his estimations, the total market cap would probably be in an area around 3-4 trillion, which would pretty much mean that we would have around 3 to 4x of the current price, again if the Bitcoin dominance remains the same. If we get to the higher band, that's the area where we would get to the 10 trillions, and that means that the price of BTC could actually go 10x up in comparison to the current one. This area is pretty bullish, but I think that is something that will come up eventually. In order to get there, we need to get wider adoption, we need to get more regulations which are positive for BTC in general. One of them would be spot Bitcoin ETF approval, like we would also need to see less scams in the industry and many other things performing well actually. So let's see my charts. So the first thing that is interesting to note here on the chart is how much increase we had from the peak of one bull market to the peak of another bull market. And if we look into the prices, in 2013 we had a price of around 1k, in 2017 we had a price of around 19.5k, which represented an increase in price of around 1,600%. Also, like if you compare 2017 to the peak at 2021, we can see that at 2021 we had a peak around 69k, while at the 2017 we had a peak of around 19.5k, which is an increase of 250%. Also, have in mind that this is actually the profit from one point to another, so the increase is actually 350%, where the profit, if you would buy on a spot price here, would be 250%. And this is the reason why I say that the Pantera Capital prediction is pretty good, because if you account that we're gonna have some diminishing returns from the market top, if we look into the 150% increase, that's the price of 100k. If we count even a slightly larger increase, for example, if we calculate that we're gonna have an increase of 200%, that would be at 130k. Their prediction at 147k would be an increase of 225% or something in that area. So I think anything from around 90k to around 150k is realistic. Everything below that is too bearish. Everything above that is too bullish. Another thing that is really interesting is I measure pretty much how many days pass in between from the bottom to the halving. In 2016 halving, we had 541 days. In 2020 halving, we had 514 days. If this is the bottom, this is 521 days before the halving. So it's highly likely that this is actually the bottom and that we won't go below this price. Also, if you look what happened in the previous bull market, we had some sharp pullback 59 days before the halving. It's something that can possibly happen, especially if we look at the macroeconomic situation and if we have some black swan event maybe happening as Binance collapsing or something similar. This is something that could happen, but if you see, if you bought this year area, this was pretty much awesome moment to buy actually. Another thing that I measured and that I think it's interesting is how much time it passed from the halving to the actual market top. And in 2016 halving, it took 526 days to the actual market top. In 2020 halving, it passed pretty much 338 days to the first top, and it passed 547 days to the second top. And if we would look at the next halving and what could happen, we would actually have the market top in 2025. I know that a lot of people are counting 2024, probably because that's the time when the halving is happening and when we start having bullish momentum, because obviously you want to invest in some areas here, you don't want to invest here or here. It's not a bad time if you would exit at this area, but obviously the earlier that you invest, it's much better. Also, one thing to have in mind is, as you saw in the last bull market, we had pretty much a double top. It's impossible to predict what will happen, so you should always be positioned in a way that in whichever direction the price goes, that you can actually profit from it. So you should never stay without some dry powder, and you should never sell all of your BTC. So you should always be positioned in a way that there are some BTC to sell if the price continues rallying up, and you should always have some dry powder in case if the price continue decreasing. If you sum up all of this, one thing is certain, and that's the fact that we are in a really good time to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible for the next bull run. If you look at my previous video about Bitcoin bottom, you can see how much higher is the potential upside in comparison to the downside. Still, as I'm always saying, don't wait for the price to get to 120k to start selling your first BTC. Sell some at 100k, sell some at 80k, maybe even some smaller amounts at 50k. Anyway, I hope that you liked the video. Please check the rest of the channel and consider subscribing. I hope that you have at least a slightly clearer picture of the future of BTC after this video. And thank you for watching. Stay strong and healthy. Bye.